Dodge Challenger, a 392 Scatpack, Ford Mustang GT, convertible, launch control. This week, head-to-head, Mustang against Challenger. Yes, some of you guys gonna say, oh, this one's a convertible, but you know, I just wanted to do a head-to-head, some kind of a mid-crisis, you know, buying toy for the weekend. So this one is really the convertible, fun V8, and this one is the true retro, vintage muscle car. So I think it's gonna do a great head-to-head. So these two cars behind me are about the same price, about 65,000 Canadian. Both have V8, both have leather seats and all that. So I'm gonna battle them in 6 rounds, and each round I'm gonna give one of them a point, and we'll see who's the winner of this head-to-head. First round, design. First of all, from my point of view, the Challenger's got really that retro muscle car look. I really like that shaker hood. It's really vintage. I really like that. You know, there's a lot of details all around this car, you know. You can notice it's really vintage muscle car. Just take a look at this fuel door here. Really vintage. Same thing for that rear spoiler here. It reminds me of a Hemi Cuda. So really muscle car era, really a muscle car kind of look. On the negative side, you know, this one doesn't have the wide body, and you know, I really like that look. So it's kind of a negative point for the Challenger this week. For the Mustang, it's an icon, it's a Mustang. You know, I really dig those black finish, black grille, black wheels, black spoiler in the back, matching the interior and also the roof. I really liked all those details. But on the negative side, you know, this Mustang doesn't look like a muscle car anymore. It looks like a sport car. So for me, you know, it's a big thing. I wish they kept that retro look we had before. So I'm not a big fan of new Mustangs from 2015 to now. So for me, it's a down point for the Mustang. So for the round one, my point goes to the Challenger because you got that true muscle car look, that vintage, nostalgic look. So point for Challenger. Round two, interior wise. First of all, inside of the Challenger, I really like those seats. These are some of my favorite in the industry. They're big, got some nice support. I really like those seats. I like everything. It's really plain and simple, kind of like muscle car, big steering wheel, big shifter. You've got some kind of a Hirsch style drag racing shifter. I really like that. Everything's got an angle to the driver, so I really like that simplicity and that muscle car kind of feeling inside. On the negative side, you know, there's not a lot of place, you know, to put your phone, your keys, and all that. So living inside of the Challenger can be sometimes difficult because space, it needs to be a little bit more practical. Interior-wise for the Mustang, I really like all those details. You know, the Mustang logos, all the switches, the air vent, that spatial plaque you have here. I really like those details, and you feel in a spatial Mustang, you know. On the negative side, for my point of view, inside of the Mustang, you don't have those big seats you'll find in the Challenger, and there's a lot of buttons on that steering wheel. From my point of view, when you own a muscle car, a sport car, you need a plain and simple driver steering wheel. So, you know, those little things really annoys me inside of the Mustang. So for the round number two, my point goes to the Challenger. I know this interior can be kind of dated, but it's plain and simple, and I just fit really well inside of that Challenger. Round three, performance. Let's talk about the engine. Let's see what's under the hood. First of all, Dodge Challenger 392. The 392 stands for the V8 6.4 liter good for 485 horsepower and 475 foot-pounds of torque. And on top of that, you've got a big ram air, big intake here. So we've got a bigger engine, obviously, in this Challenger. So that's what you found under the hood of this muscle car. Under the hood of the Mustang, we've got the famous Coyote V8 5-liter, good for 460 horsepower and 420 foot-pounds of torque. This engine is famous. It's been a while. The Mustang's got a 5.0. This engine is matched to a 10-speed automatic transmission, and the Challenger's got an 8-speed transmission, both automatic. Both also are available in manual transmission. On the Mustang side, you can get the Getrag 6-speed, and the Challenger, you can get an American-made 6-speed from Tremec. So we got more power for the Challenger, but also this one is heavier. This one is 5,300 pounds. And on the Mustang side, we gave the Challenger a little bit of chance because this one is a convertible. It's a little heavier than a normal Mustang. This one's about 4,620 pounds. But you know, both performance-wise, acceleration-wise, they do on paper 0 to 100 kilometers in about 4.2 seconds, and a quarter mile about the same, about 12.5 seconds. So which one is better than the other one? It's really how you're gonna feel behind the wheel. I think the Mustang is way quicker because it's got way much more traction than the Challenger. The Challenger's got really bad traction, bad tires on it. This one's got some nice Pirellis, nice traction, and the 10-speed transmission is way superior to the 8-speed transmission. So for the third round, my point goes to the Mustang because behind the wheel, this thing is way quicker because it's got way much more traction. Round 4, let's talk about the sound of these two muscle cars. That's really important if you're looking to buy a muscle car. It's the growling of that V8. And this week, it's been a surprise, you know. The Challenger's got a really nice sound, especially with that ram air and that big intake in the front. You really have a nice growling from the front, but on the rear of the car, the exhaust, it's kind of a little bit soft, you know, for the look of this car. It looks vintage, it looks retro, it looks muscle car. It's kind of soft. And that's where the Mustang's got a secret weapon. So on the Mustang, you've got the valve exhaust, so you can really turn up the volume on the exhaust. So once you're in Sport Plus or Track, this thing is loud, especially in a convertible. So my point for this round, it goes to the Mustang because this one is way louder than the Challenger. Round 5, driving both of these cars. So I'm behind the wheel of the Mustang convertible. Obviously, I closed down the roof to have a better sound. You know, driving this Mustang, obviously, to compare it with the Challenger, it's lighter weight. So acceleration-wise, handling-wise, braking-wise, everything is better. It's more nimble, it's easier to drive, it's a smaller car. So obviously, comfort-wise on the road, this one is smaller, so it takes, you know, the bumps and the puddles a little bit rougher than the Challenger. But overall, you know, it's fun to drive. I like to shift that 10-speed transmission. It's not as aggressive I wish it would be. It's not like the Camaro ZL1. It's the same transmission, by the way, same 10-speed, but on the GM side, it's a little bit more aggressive. But still, this transmission does the job, and I really prefer the 10-speed transmission than the manual. That's a first, you know. I think the 6-speed manual in the Mustang GT is not good, but the 10-speed, it's really awesome. So overall, really fun to drive car. It's more a sport car than a muscle car. Behind the wheel of the Challenger Scatpack, you know, you really feel behind the wheel of a muscle car. You know, you've got that shaker hood, you know, sticking out, that ram air shaking. You really feel behind the wheel of a vintage muscle car, but still it's a 2020 model. You know, on the road it's a bigger car, it's more comfortable. The seats are more comfortable than the Mustang. You know, really great, you know, to drive, you know, longer trip, highways and all that. Handling wise, because this one's not a wide body, you know, you're losing traction all the time. It's a happy tail kind of car. Handling wise also, you know, it's not as stable as the wide body model. I drove the red eye with the wide body and it's really night and day. Even last week I was driving the Charger Hellcat wide body and I had better stability, better traction and all that with double of the horsepower. So from my point of view, it's not really acceptable. You know, it's too happy tail, you know, for the amount of power you've got. Especially here in Canada, you know, sometimes it rains, sometimes it gets a little bit colder. You know, if it's sketchy with good condition, I wouldn't like to drive this car in the rain or in colder temperatures. You know, it's a big down point for the Challenger on that side. It's just a little bit too dangerous and you really have to tame this car. But again, you know, I drove more powerful cars and you had just a better experience. Round 6, it's a special round. You know, these cars are really made to take on the road trip. Those are weekend warriors, I could say. So the round 6, it's gonna be a road trip round. So is it fun to take on a road trip, you know, just for the weekend or just a small vacation? Obviously the Mustang convertible, it's a convertible. It's really fun, you know, to take on a twisty road in small villages and cities. You have really another feeling, another experience while driving, you know, a convertible. So it's always a big plus. But on the other side, there's no trunk, you know, especially with that subwoofer. So if you bring two medium or large luggage, they won't really fit in that trunk. Maybe you need to put one behind your seat. Speaking of those rear seats, there's no place for a normal size adult, I could say. Maybe some kids gonna fit really tight back there. So you're not really able to go on a road trip with an extra person. That's obvious on that side. So not really practical, but really fun for the convertible aspect. So that's a big plus for the Mustang. Behind the wheel of the Challenger for the road trip round, I could say this one, it's a bigger car, it's more comfortable, better seats again. You know, for longer trip, I've got more space for my legs, my shoulders and all of that. So it's a big plus on that side. You're able to bring some people in the rear seats. Those are usable, I could say. In the Mustang or Camaro, they're not really usable. And this one's got a real trunk, so you're able, you know, to bring some real luggage. And if you're on, you know, a road trip and you stop by to some shop, you can have some extra stuff inside of your Challenger. You're not limited with the cargo space. So for this round, you know, I really love the convertible and all that, but just to drive it and be comfortable and also practical, I give my point to the Challenger. So after 6 rounds, it's equal. 3 points for the Mustang and 3 points for the Challenger. But there's gonna be only one winner, and today's winner is the Mustang. I really enjoyed driving the Mustang this week. Top down, really loud exhaust, 10-speed transmission, just really fun to drive. And overall, you know, because the Challenger is not a wide body, it's lacking on the handling side, traction and all that. I wish we had a wide body this week. I could say maybe if we had the wide body, the Challenger would have won this head-to-head, but it's not the case this week. It's this model versus this one, and the Mustang is winning this battle. So let me know in the comments your opinion, which one would won this head-to-head if it was you testing these two cars, the Mustang or the Challenger. So don't forget to share my videos, like my video, subscribe, and we're gonna see each other on the next head-to-head.